All right, Chair, we're live on YouTube whenever you're ready.
Hello everyone, I'm Councillor Janet Thompson, Chair of the Ad Hoc. I would like to welcome you to this virtual meeting. Can I remind all participants that normal rules of procedure apply? For example, comments and questions need to be directed through the Chair. While members of the public can view this meeting via YouTube Live, they will not be able to actively participate or comment on proceedings, as their meeting is being live streamed. Can I remind all participants that their conduct should reflect this? Today's ad hoc is looking at health and safety, and I would like to welcome members of the Corporate Health and Safety Committee, which includes the trade unions. In attendance also, we've got John Armstrong, the Health and Safety Manager, who is going to give us a presentation. Paul Stevens, Head of Strategy, Information and Governance. David Jameson, Operational Manager. Charlotte Benjamin, Director of Legal and Governance Services, and members of Democratic Services. Right, we'll go to the agenda. We got any apologies for absence?
We have, Chair. Apologies have been received from Councillor Denise Rooney.
Thank you. Any declarations of interest?
Chair, could I just mention David Brunson is out somewhere, but he's going to try if he can for the meeting.
Thank you for that, Councillor Coop. So I assume there's no declarations of interest. Minutes of the ad hoc scrutiny panel, which were on the 10th of October 2018. Can we note these? Because none of us were there at that time. So there's been noted. Right, we're now going to have a presentation by John Armstrong. Can I just ask that people, if members can leave the questions till the end after John's finished his presentation. So I'll hand over to you, John. John, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much.
If you bear with me, John, I'll just start sharing your presentation.
Okay. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. My name's John Armstrong. I'm the Health and Safety Manager for Middlesbrough Council, and I've been asked to come to the Scrutiny Committee today to give a presentation on the Health and Safety Management System within Middlesbrough Council. So the aims and objectives today are basically to provide a quick update on the proposed changes to the Health and Safety Management System within the Council. And to do that, I'm going to give a brief introduction about myself and my time within Middlesbrough Council as the Health and Safety Manager. I'm going to talk about what HSG 65 is in relation to health and safety management systems. I'm going to talk about what we call premises health and safety plans, fire risk assessments, service area health and safety plans, and the proposed digitalisation of the Council's health and safety management system. So, as an introduction then, I started with Middlesbrough Council a little over 3 years ago in October 2017. And at the time, there was a predecessor, my colleague, Barbara, who basically analysis of the Council's health and safety management system at that time. And she identified a number of gaps that needed to be actioned within the management system. So for examples of this were, instead of having formal procedures detailing roles and responsibilities on the Council's intranet, instead we had HSE leaflets on the intranet. Training, a lot of the training had been turned into e-learning that previous to my arrival was face-to-face learning. Health and safety manuals that were present still mentioned legislation such as the Fire Precautions Act, which was superseded by the Regulatory Reform Fire Safety Order in 2005, which meant that the manuals were quite out of date and were requiring an update. And a decision was made to basically produce corporate procedures to replace these health and safety manuals. Fire risk assessments at the time, although we had fire risk assessments in place for each building, the frequency in which they were inspected, we were only 30% in date with that inspection frequency at the time of my arrival. We've now more or less, we've got that in the mid to high 90s. So we've made significant improvements in that area. And then actions remained outstanding on a number of health and safety audits and fire risk assessments. And in some cases, that was for years they were present. And we've done our best to basically improve that situation as well. So I was asked what other councils do as well as part of this presentation and how they implement health and safety management systems within other public sector organisations and within other councils. And the Health and Safety Executive basically produced guidance documents. And one of them guidance documents is called HSG 65. So HSG 65 is all about basically implementing health and safety management systems. And the key criteria for HSG 65 is something called Plan, Do, Check, Act. And with that, what we're looking for is a plan. Once we've got the plan in place, we want management, senior management, service area managers, building managers to basically put that plan into action. Once they've put that plan into action, what we would do as a health and safety team and management as well, we would then do checks of the implementation of that plan. And from that, we recognise that not everything will be compliant straight away. So when we do these audits and inspections, we then allocate actions. And from them actions, we expect management, senior management, building managers, senior managers to basically complete their actions in a timely manner in order to fulfil the requirements of the plan and become compliant with not only procedural requirements internally, but also legislation. Okay, so premises health and safety plans. What I decided to do when I came here, we had significant gaps in relation to procedures. So my first step was basically to put together a number of key procedures, such as incident reporting procedures, risk assessment procedures, manual handling procedures, permit to work procedures, etc., etc. And then what we did is we looked at basically incorporating the main requirements of them procedures into a very simple and easy to understand plan, so that building managers could basically go through this plan and tick off the measures that were in place. And where the measures weren't in place, they could give themselves an action. It's all in one document instead of having numerous documents. And once they've gone through that simple to use health and safety plan, what it should do is it should produce evidence related documentation to enable us as a health and safety department to come in and audit it, to basically check on compliance levels. So that's what we've done basically. We've implemented the plan. We have produced a building manager procedure to inform everybody within the organisation at each different level on their roles and responsibilities. We've introduced an e-learning training package as well, which all building managers, service area managers have basically attended to give them an understanding of the process. Building managers have then produced health and safety folders with evidence, and we have gone out and started auditing them folders and basically providing advice and support to managers so that they've got robust health and safety management systems in place to comply with all relevant legislation within their premises. Don't get me wrong, COVID has led to some delays in fully rolling out this system, but hopefully next year, once we get over COVID, we will be able to fully implement it. We've also got plans to digitalise the premises health and safety plans and the premises health and safety audits. And what that will enable us to do is not only track actions, but it will also enable us to benchmark performance with each different building. So they can basically see improvements within their performance. And also, say, for example, if we have a staff turnover and, there's a recognition there where we might have to go in and support them managers to get them up to the required standard. So I thought I'd talk about fire risk assessments as well. So the key bit of legislation for fire risk assessments is the Regulatory Reform Fire Safety Order 2005. And as I said in my introduction, at my time of arrival, we only had one part-time fire risk assessor for the whole of the authority. And a decision was made basically to upskill members of the health and safety team to become fire risk assessors, basically. So we developed a plan to basically get the generic advisors to go down to the Fire Service College in Morton Le Marche and complete a fire risk assessors qualification. Since then, we've done various CPD, and now all members of the health and safety team are trained fire risk assessors. The fire risk assessments are now back in date with their required frequency. A new fire risk assessment template makes the requirements of the legislation and the relevant guidance much easier to understand if they read through it, because we've got questions, and if they read the questions, they will understand exactly what we're looking at within the fire risk assessment process. So that hopefully improves ownership with relevant building managers and service area managers. We have developed a new fire safety procedure with a number of different pieces of documentation, including an up-to-date fire logbook where internal checks will be carried out. We've got a folder index so that each index can be standardized within each building, which makes it easy to audit from both a fire service point of view and the health and safety team. We have developed evacuation plans to simplify the process so that management understand the requirements of these plans and can basically put them into practice and make sure that they get people out in the event of a alarm activation or fire situation. Fire safety training, although we've got fire safety training in place on the internet and face-to-face, we will be reviewing that as a result of the changes to the procedural requirements. So again, we're on with that, and as soon as we get out of lockdown, we will be able to implement the requirements of that. And then finally, I mentioned about digitalising the health and safety management system. If we get our proposed online health and safety solution, we should be able to digitalise the fire risk assessment process and potentially fire logbooks as well to enable us to track the closeout of actions and again to benchmark performance. So service area health and safety plans, as part of the gap analysis, we did think that we could put more work into auditing different service areas within the council, and we have started work on putting together service area health and safety plans as well. And you know, there is quite a bit of work to do with that because there's a lot of different service areas within the organisation, but work on that has started. The main requirements of each procedure will be incorporated into auditable service area health and safety plans. Very similar approach to the building health and safety plans. So what we're trying to do there is encourage ownership within service area managers and basically look at all the key parts of the procedures and put it into one simple, easy to understand document to support them. Service area health and safety folders will be put in place to evidence compliance because it will be an evidence-based audit approach that we take. Service areas will be audited at a frequency determined by risk. So low risk, for example, might be audited every 3 years, and high risk properties may be audited, say, once a year, and medium risk every 2 years. The Health and Safety Unit will carry out audits and provide advice and support as required. We don't expect everybody to be fully compliant straight away. What we're trying to do is improve performance, and that's what we believe we will be able to do with the service area health and safety plans. And again, once we have produced these, we'll speak with the relevant service areas, and we will have plans to digitalise these service area plans and the audits to enable the tracking of closeout of actions and also to benchmark performance. What we've also done as well to support these plans, we've put together a health and safety auditing procedure. And in this, we've adapted an international standard approach, really, to the health and safety management system. It's now been approved by LMT and the Corporate Health and Safety Committee, and it's been uploaded onto the intranet. And what we propose to do is, obviously, we've give people requirements within their health and safety plans to basically implement the requirements and maintain the evidence for audit purpose. If everything's in place, it's absolutely great. They've achieved compliance, and we're happy with that. If it's not in place and they haven't done anything to get it in place, then potentially we'd give them a major non-conformance, and from that they'd have a month to close out that action to become compliant. If it's partially in place and we think it can be improved slightly, we would give them a minor non-conformance and give them 3 months to action that requirement. And if, for example, they've got everything in place, but we just think there's a tiny bit that could be improved, we might give them an observation, and that would be a 12-month management discretion type action. And then finally, what we've got as well is what we call a CAPEX. So what a CAPEX is something where we wouldn't be able to allocate an action to a manager, or like whether it's a service area manager or premises manager, because due to financial issues, it could be out of their control. So in them instances, what we would do is we would allocate them actions to LMT for action because they would relate to finance. And the health and safety management system that we propose to digitalise will enable the tracking of all of the above actions, and we'll be able to do detailed reports to show compliance in every different area of the authority. So health and safety management system then. This is the online solution that I've been talking about. So we have got plans to digitalise the health and safety management system. Final checks are being made by IT on the suitability and the security of the system, which is called My Compliance. And if agreed and IT can are satisfied that all of the security systems are in place, we will then go ahead and purchase the system, and it'll give us the capability of the following. So it'll give us a detailed incident reporting and investigation system for accidents, violent incidents, near misses. We could have environmental issues on there, environmental actions and incidents. It'll also give us the ability to digitalise risk assessments so that if an incident does occur, we can go straight to the risk assessments associated with that activity and review them. It will enable us to put fire risk assessments online, health and safety audits online. It also has the capability of providing us with health and safety legal registers, environmental legal registers, approved contractor lists, and a variety of other different capabilities. And it'll be a game changer for health and safety if we go forward with it. So I just wanted to go through to summarise HSG 65, which I started at the beginning. So under a health and safety management system based on the principles of HSG 65, the 4 principles are plan, do, check and act. So under the plan, we will have premises health and safety plans for all Middlesbrough Council buildings. And we aim to have service area health and safety plans as well for relevant service areas to help them put in place a robust health and safety management system which will comply with procedural requirements and relevant health and safety and fire safety legislation. So the do part, leadership from the top of the organisation. For any procedures that we do put in place, we produce a corporate health and safety report which LMT read through and approve prior to it going to the committee meeting. Within all of our policies and procedures, we have clearly defined roles and responsibilities for all levels within the organisation to tell them how to comply with procedural requirements and relevant legislation. And then the check side of it, the health and safety unit will audit requirements and benchmark performance subject to risk. And we will report all of our audits to directors, heads of service, managers, and relevant others for action. So the act part then, so we'll put written reports in for our audits. There are recommendations within the audits to be actioned by management, and the health and safety management system will provide transparency and proper reporting on compliance. And that is it in a nutshell. Does anybody have any questions?
Before we take any questions, can I just ask David Jameson or Paul Stevens if they want to add anything to it before I take questions?
Okay.
I'm fine with that, Chair. Obviously, we've seen it in advance. This is Paul Stevens speaking.
Right.
I'm fine with it as well. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
All right then. Right, we'll take questions. Got any questions? Nobody want? Councillor Coo, do you want to ask a question?
Yes, thanks, Chair. No, I was quite impressed with the presentation. It concerned me that we didn't have something like this in before. I think you should be congratulated on this to come up with a very comprehensive health and safety plan. I think once it is digitalised, it'll be much easier to access, and then the traceability will be better. So well done. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor.
Councillor Branson, I'm not able to see you, so I don't know whether you've got any questions because I know you're on a phone in.
I don't believe he's on the phone, Chair. I think that's Councillor Dean.
On the phone now. Right, I thought he'd come up there with on the phone. Councillor Dean, I know you were on the phone. Did you want to say anything? No. Can I just ask, John, what is the situation with the Transporter Bridge? Is that shut because of a health and safety issue? And is that going to be repaired and be up and running?
I believe what happened with the Transporter Bridge, Councillor, the unions raised concerns with it. A report was produced, an inspection was carried out, a report was produced, and then as a result of that report, precautionary measures were taken to close the bridge. And I believe that ECS Directorate is going to provide an update on that, on the transporter. Dave Jameson, would you like to, Charlotte Benjamin? Could maybe...
Chair, yeah, are you okay if I come in on that point?
Yeah, definitely.
So, as John has just outlined there's been a report into issues with the Transporter Bridge, which has now resulted in us going to an external consultant to get some advice about what to do in respect of remedial works that need to be done to the Transporter Bridge. That will be the subject of an executive report, a report to the executive. I believe it's later this month. Is that right, Dave?
Yes, that's correct, Charlotte. The executive report's been written and will be going to the November executive committee. Yeah.
And Chair, if I can also clarify, separate to that, we've also been aware of some governance issues which have been flagged by the report into the Transporter Bridge. So the proposal is to take that issue to the Corporate Affairs and Audit Committee, the next meeting of that committee being in December. So that subject in terms of governance will be on the agenda for that meeting, it's proposed.
So therefore it may come back to a future ad hoc, is that right?
It could do. Has to be determined by the committee, I suppose. Right.
Thank you for that clarification. Can I also raise about another two buildings which concerns have been raised? It's Middlesbrough House and the Civic Centre. So what risk assessment, and have we got a list of problems with them buildings?
Would you like myself to come in there, Chair? It's David Jameson.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any concerns being raised with Middlesbrough House. Obviously, if they were presented to us, we would be able to investigate and obviously address as required. Again, with Civic Centre, I think everybody's aware of obviously the age of the Civic Centre, and there was plans that are under review. What we do from a corporate landlord's perspective is every building subject to a condition survey on a 5-year cycle that identifies potential condition items. But we also implement annual planned preventative maintenance to address statutory maintenance, and that's also supported by a responsive maintenance service. So with those three elements of maintenance in place, we endeavour to obviously address any health and safety issues relating to the building fabric or the plant and equipment within the building.
Thank you for that clarification. Has anyone got any questions? Councillor Starry, do you want to come in?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I just wondered, in terms of the buildings that this covers, and our health and safety responsibilities, I know the council doesn't own a huge amount of housing anymore, but do all these policies cover the houses that the council sort of owns and rents out, or because I know some of them are used for social care purposes, and I just wondered what reference does the health and safety report have to housing?
Yeah, I can answer that. So basically, if a building's got Middlesbrough Council staff within it, we will go out and we will basically give them a health and safety plan, and they will implement the requirements of that plan. Rented buildings are a bit different, and that would depend on the tenancy agreement, I suppose. But we do, for certain social care buildings, we do go out and inspect them. And that includes some houses. But we've got like a comprehensive list of all Middlesbrough Council buildings that we audit.
Thanks, Chair.
No. Can I just ask about the Civic Centre as well? I know there's been a lot of problems, and you've just referred to that has outlived its lifespan. And there was proposals to move the staff out of there into one of the new blocks within Centre Square. It's got loads of issues that I've been told. So what is the position with the Civic Centre and the staff moving out of there? Do we know? Have you got any more updates on that?
Can I refer that to David Jameson, Chair, please?
Yeah, go ahead, David.
Chair, I can only comment on the corporate landlord position in relation to strategic plans. It's really a question that needs directing to LMT for them to give a position statement on that. What my responsibilities are is to ensure that my team are delivering effective maintenance services, working closely with the health and safety team and the building managers to deliver that.
Thank you for that, David. Have we got any more questions? No more questions? Councillor Dean, I can't see you. I don't know whether you've got any questions. I'm assuming not then. Right, well, if there's no more questions, I would like to thank all our speakers and thank you, John, for that presentation. Much appreciated. So thank you all once again for attending. So if you want to stay, you can stay, but I think the only other thing is any other urgent items, which I don't have. So thank you once again. Thank you for everyone attending, and I'd just like to close the meeting. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chair.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chair.